Welcome to Flick This Movie. I am Rene Garcia,
And I'm Brian Glass.
and today we are reviewing The Lion King 2019 version.
Mm-hmm.
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 All right, I guess I'm going to roll it. Here we
Roll it.
go. Wait, it's rolling now.
Life's not fair, is it, my little friend? While some are born to feast, others spend their lives in the dark. Begging for scraps.
Okay,
Everything you
that's enough of that.
That is enough. Did you by any chance see anything that happened on my end?
No, I did not. I was too busy staring up at the movie playing above us, Brian.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, enjoy that.
It's a little treat.
Little treat.
I'm
Just for you.
gonna review it afterwards, and it's gonna be you putting on like a little Simba mask. Actors
off
come
my
in
flesh.
behind you.
Taking off my flesh. I am Simba.
Oh, right, that too. Oof,
My human face.
that'd be creepy.
Hey, Renee, before
Hey,
we get
Brian.
started, I think I need to date stamp this show in a unique way.
Okay.
Because today we had the passing of an actor from one of your
Yes.
favorite movies of all time, Blind Fury.
Yeah. I also do circumcision.
I wish I had a bet with someone that I could make you say that word during this show. Be like, what? The Lion King? Oh yeah, I can make him say it.
You could hold up a sign that says, "Renee, say circumcision." I would have said it. It's fine. It's easy.
Oh, just got a text. Oh, okay.
Yeah, circumcision. Beard.
We'll have to make that a thing now. You know, as we grow our following like up and above 20 at some point, it'd be like a shot game they can play.
Totally. I love it. That's branding. Yeah, no, Rutger Hauer, everybody.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I'm never really attached to celebrities, but he is tied to a lot of movie, or at least a handful of movies, a couple of movies,
Couple
a
of
movie,
movies.
one movie,
What?
half
Blade?
a movie. No, I'm kidding. It's just I was decreasing
Yes,
as I
I got
kept
it.
talking. Anyway, two movies that come to mind. One, of course, Blade Runner. Like tears in the rain. You're a replicant too. He comes back to life just to say that. And then the other movie is Lady Hawk.
Yes, of course.
Dude, I love Lady Hawk. So good. So good. Even though the orchestra is like, I think it's like the San Francisco Pops or something like that. Or is it like something else?
I don't know.
But in any event, it's, it feels like the 80s because it's got a lot of synth in it, at least
Right.
for the traveling music. I don't know the melody, but it's, that synth really sticks out to me. And like, I wanted to share it with my friends one night, and just hearing that music, we all just like looked at each other like, uh-oh,
Oh,
this was probably a mistake.
that's okay. I made that same mistake recently with you. So a lot
Well,
of things kind of came back to haunt me. Like, oh, that's not as cool as when I was young.
yeah, fine. I think though everything else about Lady Hawk, I think it still holds up. The music is the only thing that's a problem, and the music isn't like that throughout the whole movie. It's just, that's the James Bond theme of the movie, and so it only comes back once in a while.
Two great movies,
There you go. Rip, Rutger Hauer.
and Blind Fury, and of course, let's not forget Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait,
that
does he do
Paul
that, or does someone else do that?
That's Paul Rubens.
Oh, okay.
One of the best scenes. But anyway, still
Yeah.
such a fun movie. R.I.P. my friend.
Yeah.
75, I think. Almost as
feeling-
old as the almost as long as the time between the original The Lion King and this version of The Lion King, or so it felt.
Right.
Like it was a
Correct.
long
Long
was it?
time.
94 to 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Do the
wide gap.
math.
Do math. 25 ish.
Yeah, 25.
I can do math.
Is that right?
I don't know. Sounds good enough
19.
for this show.
And 6. Yeah, 25. Okay. Whew.
Did it?
Oh, I was just about to say, man, I'm feeling really lucid tonight. Like I'm just remembering stuff, and then now I can't do math.
That's okay.
Easy
The other
math.
half of the brain.
Yeah. Okay. So, Brian,
Yeah.
who's beginning first here? I'm asking you, right? Since I did the intro.
Sure. So this is going to be a little bit different than we've done in our previous shows because there's not really a spoiler version of this review.
Correct. Right. We're just going to talk it through.
Yeah. If someone hasn't seen this, for the last 25 years, then that's bad on them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not really anything substantial here that doesn't happen in the animated
Can I
version.
interrupt, Brian, before we get into that?
Yeah.
I'm already turning this show into our other show, but that's fine. So here's a 1-minute story. It might be 2 minutes. Who knows? When Star Wars was being re-released, the fancier versions with all the extra scenes and the added
Quote-unquote
CGI. What's that?
The quote unquote enhancements.
Yes,
Or
the stepping on Jabba's tail. Ooh, those scenes, right?
Yes.
So that was back in the theater, and they were, I think, Doritos or something like that. They were doing some kind of cross-promotional marketing, and there's a scene where this guy, he's working in a supermarket, and he's saying, he's delivering certain lines from the movie, and I think in one spot he has a bucket on his head, and it gives him that Darth Vader voice. And it's a black bucket for some reason, I think.
Right.
And he's like, Luke, I am your father, right? And I was listening to, I think, K-Rock the next day or something, or at least during this promotional period. And some lady calls in the morning show, and she complained about these commercials ruining the movie because she hadn't seen Star Wars before. Right?
Right.
And so I had this discussion with some friends of mine, and it turned into this long, heated argument. And I was on the side of the lady. I was like, well, you know what? She hadn't seen the movie. It sucks to have a movie spoiled. And my buddy was like, it's been 30 years. She has no excuse. Too bad for her.
Right.
Now, normally, I would have been like, yeah, hey, you got a good point, right? But the problem was that we had a third friend in the room, and this was my friend, not my buddy's friend, right? But we were all just hanging out together. And my friend knew me as this kind of alpha guy, right? I'll just keep arguing forever. I will win. I will exert my dominance.
Yeah.
But my buddy, so I have my buddy and my friend, all right? My buddy, he wasn't going to just let me be the alpha male here, right? And so we're just arguing all back and forth. It's just immovable. And here I am almost trying to plead with my eyes, just let me win this one. Just let me win this one so we can move on with the night. Just rough. It was just a rough evening.
The best is, did you even believe what you were saying, or just you had to dig in?
Well, that's the thing. I had to dig in after a while. I would have submitted, within the first 30 seconds, oh, yeah, okay. That sounds right. You're right, yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's a nothing conversation.
The only real argument that I could see there would be that someone could be upset because their son or daughter saw that, and they were going to take them to experience Star Wars for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
But if they're of age,
Right.
that's bad on them.
Yeah.
Now, I'll hear something about Casablanca or something.
Yeah.
I didn't see that until 2 years ago.
My favorite movie, everybody. Number one.
And of course, I knew a lot of the things, and before I went in there. But that's on me, of course.
Yeah.
But if there's something new's coming out, don't spoil it for me. It's the same reason I don't read reviews until I see something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, shall we move on?
Let's continue, Brian.
This is what's going to happen, folks, when someone essentially puts out a re-release. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the movie. We're just
Right.
going to talk.
Yeah.
You decided to watch this for some reason, so shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you think, Renee? Oh,
That's it. That's your review. It's gonna be an early night.
my review, here's the thing. When I was watching the movie, I had kind of an uneasy feeling. This is the first time I've ever watched one of these, essentially remakes. Where they take the cartoon and they stamp it with live action. I've avoided these quite honestly because I had a feeling that I would have this kind of uneasiness. I was like, as I'm watching it, I'm having this is kind of what's going on in my head. Should I be watching this as a standalone movie, without even thinking about the animated predecessor? Should I be watching it as an homage to the original? Should I be watching it as a cash grab, because it's big Disney, getting into more pockets? And I just couldn't really square the circle in this case.
Right.
So I was trying to think of things that are analogous, so what else, has gone through this sort of process. And I started with like thinking about maybe it was back in the 80s or 90s when they started colorizing black and whites.
Okay. Miracle on 34th Street.
Sure. And it has that kind of desaturated look, but it's colorized to some extent. And some people were like, wow, this is cool. A whole new way of looking at a movie. And some people were like, how dare you mess with the original?
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's not really this. Being a fan of the original movie, quite a bit actually. I love the animated film, to be honest with you. It's one of my favorite animated movies. I just thought it was, a tight script, well done, well animated. When it was over the top, it was fine. When it was poignant, it was poignant. It was just, the whole thing was just a good experience for me. I've always enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing it with my son. So generationally, I've watched this again, and it really does hold up.
Yeah.
But years ago, I took my wife to a stage production of The Lion King, and I thought that's kind of similar to this. It's a slightly different medium.
Yeah.
I had heard about how they bring the characters to life through costumes, and I want to see it for myself. And
Yeah.
I was able to kind of view it as a piece of art unto itself. Sort of. I mean, that's sort of the best analogy I could draw in this case, and that's how I tried to look at this film, so that I could kind of separate myself from this queasiness I was having with the whole experience of why was this done in the first place if there's nothing really new.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I came from. And that being said, it's not really a radical change of presentation. It's still celluloid to celluloid. So the comparisons are kind of inevitable. And I think that Jon Favreau gave a reasonable interpretation of the original. In the end, I think it's a good movie. I don't think it ever reaches the level of the original, because like all of the elements were there. The animals were really well rendered. I mean, everything looked great.
Right.
But, I kind of had this problem with it that I noticed early on, and it kept hitting me every time there was kind of a medium to a close shot. And that was, this is a movie where they decided we're going to have realistic looking animals that can talk.
Yeah.
That's a decision, right? This is not like they're just looking at each other and thinking.
Yeah.
So they decided to make them talk, which is unnatural, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if a character in the movie was happy or sad, there was no emotion there behind it.
Yes.
No expression. And I found it kind of like off-putting. Like I was looking at these dead animals, and I had to draw all of the emotion from either their body language,
right,
which was well done. I mean, I thought, when they're playing around, and I get it, they're young, and that's cool. Or I had to get it from the acting, which I think was hit and miss in this movie.
Totally.
Yeah. So that to me is what hindered this from being like going from an animated classic to a great movie. Anytime we got too close, I started to get that feeling. And and before I think it was Ebert who started the whole uncanny thing.
Hmm.
I don't think that really applies here because we're not talking about humans, but I did have a weird feeling like, if he's upset, I should see something going on in the
Right.
eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing just eyes, which look beautiful. Like I could watch this in a nature show,
Right.
but I'm supposed to be seeing a movie in which animals speak.
Right.
So it's like you took me 90% of the way there, John. Let's go to 10 and just do it. Slam dunk this thing, and I'll be like, you know what? You could watch the animated version or the live action version. You're gonna have a great experience. I would say this movie it holds up. It's good. Overall, I had a pleasant experience with it. I just felt like it could have been just a little bit better. How about you, Renee?
Fantastic. Similar, but let's get there. So, I hadn't seen The Lion King. I have no children, and I don't hang out with children, and so there are no children for me to share The Lion King with. So I hadn't seen The Lion King since it came out a long time ago, and I didn't actually see it until probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years, 3 years after it had, it came and went. So most likely I saw it on DVD, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
In any event, I liked it when I originally saw it, but, here I am 20 years later or so, watching it again in this new medium or new format, new style, it felt new to me. And so I could appreciate the story and the things that, the arc of the characters and the struggle and the betrayal and the drama and all of that. Almost like it was the first time. So with that said, when I initially left the theater after screening this,
Yeah.
I felt pretty good. I felt like, oh, hey, I had a good time. But on the drive home, talking to my brother, who accompanied me, and he has children, and he has watched this, we'll say more recently than I have, probably many times. He was like, yeah, I was basically bored for 2 hours. And it's like, you know what? I can understand that. Because, comparing it, I've had time to kind of like compare it to the animated, the truly animated, we'll call it. I mean, they're both animated, let's be honest, right? It's basically the same movie, right? And one of the problems, and I said this in my initial hot take review on my other channel, is that without the expressions in cartoons allow us as human beings to relate and sympathize and empathize with cartoon characters. You need that. It's the thing that allows us to relate to. I wish I didn't use all of my synonyms in that one sentence, sadly, so I'm gonna have to repeat them. To relate to something like a car, right? You take the movie Cars. You remove their faces. Imagine if they were just like regular cars that you see today driving around, and you gave them voices.
Right.
No way would you like that movie as much as we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Creepy.
Exactly. So, I think it was a mistake, to not, like you said, go all the way, that final 10%. I was thinking about it, and I think to go the distance that they did, and I'm just going to say that they went halfway. I would rather they had either done, like a Homeward Bound situation or Look Who's Talking Now, tact, where they do just have like the inner monologue or the voiceover of the animals, like the live action animals.
Yeah.
And, they're being obviously directed by people off screen or whatever. And then someone just doing voiceover on top of them. Right. and we're understanding their thoughts,
Yeah.
but they're actual animals walking around. Right. I would have either preferred that or what you said. Let's go full animation. Give me human expressions, all of that. Because what they have is this kind of like weird, we'll call it an unhappy medium.
Yeah.
And I it just doesn't make the movie compelling to me.
It's interesting you say that because I went back to the original. I
Okay.
had to see some of it because, especially like watching the opening scene or watching some of the pivotal scenes, you know, uh, the story beats are there.
Yeah.
The opening scene, it's almost like dead on, dead
Yeah.
on. It's
Totally.
beautiful. But then there are little things that happen. Like there's a baby giraffe that shows up, and on the live version, a baby giraffe is walking there, and on the animated version, the baby giraffe is like just draws you in with the look that it gives. It's like, whoa, it's so beautifully animated. Little things like that, I thought were, helped kind of sell the story. But then when you get to something poignant, like when spoiler alert, Mufasa dies,
Mm-hmm.
I watched that scene, afterwards on the animated version, and oh my god, man, that scene is like, it's heartbreaking in the animated version.
Yeah.
You
Totally.
watch the little cub, and just him thinking, walking into his dad, and just the expressions. It's like it's all expressions at that point. And then when he
Right.
cuddles under the arm, it's like, oh my god, that's just that's
Yeah.
harsh to watch.
So on that point, there's a, dramatic camera angles. I think were meant for human expression, and I've only come to that conclusion recently, and it's because of this movie. There's a scene late in the film where there's a flashback of Simba, young Simba, seeing his father falling, basically, or dead.
Right.
And he's on the cliffside, and the camera pulls back dramatically, right? And I didn't compare this to the original, but I can imagine with the look of horror, a hand-drawn look of horror on the cartoon character's face, that is effective. When it's just an animal on a cliffside looking with no expression, it's just
Yeah.
a camera pulling back all of a sudden for no reason, and it's
Right.
like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? I mean, we know what it means because we are familiar with that camera shot, that
Sure.
effect. Like we have to intellectually sync that up to other experiences. But if this was the first movie we had ever seen, that would be a useless shot,
Yeah.
right? Without the expression. But you tie it in with a human expression, it all makes sense. It all, the camera movement adds to the horror. I mean, I feel like I'm belaboring the point here, but the point I'm making is that once again, to try to do this shot for shot thing, but then not have the actual facial expressions from the previous movie, the shot for shot doesn't make any sense anymore. Or at least it's not as effective anymore.
It's not, and I felt very much the same way. That scene when Mufasa dies and the little cub's walking, I'm thinking either they're asking a lot of the audience in terms of verisimilitude and for us to kind of fill in what's going on in this cub's head,
Mm,
because he's not able to talk during this situation. He's just saying dad, daddy, or something like that. But I mean,
right.
It's heart wrenching in the original, and I'm wondering if they're like capitalizing on what you already know is there, because you've seen the original and now you're seeing this version of it. And if you hadn't seen it, is it kind of hollow at that point? Or you're just kind of sad because his dad is there and he's going to go lay next to him. Not, this little cub lost his whole life right there.
Right.
I mean, the orders of magnitude between the movies are just different.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not drawn into the characters as much. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to dog it. Honestly, I don't want to dog it too much because there were times when I forgot about it. The whole scene when Nala and Simba are kind of reunited. It was like that was a moment. That whole like montage was just like filling me with joy. And I was like, why is that happening? Why am I enjoying this so much more than the rest of it? And I
Yeah.
realized we never got close to them. So we couldn't see their expressions. We could just see them playing with each other and rubbing
Right.
up against each other. And
Yeah.
I was like, so as long as we didn't get too close, I was like, this is really nice. This is really well done
Yeah.
and effective. And
Mhm.
the acting, was better, with the older, I thought with the older characters as well. So, well, at least with one of them. So I think that was what kind of stood out to me. As long as they didn't get too close, there were some just great stuff. I don't want to dog on it too much because I didn't think it was a bad movie by any stretch.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored like your brother, but I wasn't like I wasn't gripped like with the original.
Okay.
It's hard to be, when you can't see those expressions and
Right.
and everything's about, movies are about relationships. It's tough to get all the way there.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I want to say something about the acting, so can you remind me? Because I know I'm going to forget once I start talking about this thing that I want to talk about before the acting. So here's something a little more avant-garde that I think, and maybe avant-garde is the wrong word here or phrase, but I will say it's more. It would have been more courageous, and I think more of a value proposition, at least for me, to watch this movie, right? Because, if you're just going to remake a movie shot for shot, but hey, it's, with different actors or it looks more realistic, but the story and everything is exactly the same. Is that really enough for you to, spend your money, take your family to watch this thing for 2 hours that is not going to surprise you in any way, except for maybe in the first 5 minutes, like, oh wow, look, it does look real, and look, they were able to copy the hand-drawn animated version shot for shot. Wow, that's great. Do you need 2 hours of that? Probably not. 5 minutes and you're good.
Let me just interrupt for a second. There's an answer to that. Psycho.
Oh, okay, and so I was going to bring that up. Psycho is a perfect example of that. I thought I watched it and I'm like, okay, this was probably a personal filmmaker challenge for Gus Van Sant, and you did it. Good job. Did I enjoy my time watching it? No, I did not.
Yeah, and to weigh in on the same point, when I heard about it, I heard that he was going to be doing shot for shot. I thought to myself, well, that's a great reminder. I love that movie. I'll go watch the original. Thanks. And I've never seen the shot for shot remake. Why would I bother?
Yeah. Bingo.
Who
Bingo.
cares?
Okay, so there's that. Oh wait, no, I didn't finish my point. So here's the value prop, or something that would have been a more valuable proposition to me.
Okay.
If they got live action animals, like real animals, no dialogue, no music, well, no singing anyway, and they just recreated The Lion King with these animals, trained animals in these parts. Okay, so Simba's born. I don't know if they can get the monkey, or the baboon rather, to lift him up and do all the thing, but have them just gather at Pride Rock, and they're on top of the rock, and you get, oh, okay, this is representing that intro, right? Do you get what I'm saying, Brian?
Absolutely. Gazelles are there just kind of doing their thing.
Well,
Giraffes
yeah.
are eating
I mean,
their
obviously, obviously they wouldn't, they'd have to be creative with the shots. You couldn't do a wide angle and they're all just running around and it's pandemonium.
All the animals are sedated, kind of walking around because it's the only way you can train them.
A freaking lion just leaps off the Pride Rock, starts eating a gazelle. Cut.
I guess that's Scar.
Yeah, there you go. But I think, had they been able to pull that off, then I would have been like, wow, now this is a cinematic feat that is well worth our time. But I don't think it could exist without knowing the first movie, of course. Nevertheless, I don't know that people would watch this without knowing the first movie either.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the acting. Look, I remembered, Brian. Early senility, not today.
I was going to bring that up as well anyhow, so go right ahead.
Okay. No, man, I took my ginkgo biloba. Extra strength.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. What's your name? Where am I? Okay, so the acting in the first movie, I feel like those voice actors, it's Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, I can't remember everyone else, but, at least those
Jeremy
guys, I know
Irons.
that. What's that?
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, I don't know if he did a lot of stage work, but like I know Matthew Broderick. He does musicals. Nathan Lane,
Yeah, sure.
musicals, and I just felt like these guys, with you know that experience of having to project, right, and be big with their performance. I think that really came through in their version of The Lion King. Whereas you had a lot of, I know that, Donald Glover, Beyonce, obviously they perform on stage as well. But I think that, performing music that is sung into a microphone that is meant to be projected through speakers, and you can be as controlled and as soft with your voice as you need to be.
Yeah.
I don't know that projection and being like, this big, larger than life character on stage is, I don't know that actually happens for like a pop star. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think they're used to being projected on a Jumbotron for people in the cheap seats, and it's fine, right?
Yeah, they're closely mic'd.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I feel like the performances in the new version of The Lion King are just a little too subtle for my tastes. A little
okay.
too, I don't know if nuanced is the word, but just not big enough. Especially for something that is a musical. Like, you want big personalities in there.
Yeah.
So there we are. And honestly, I'm not really familiar with Beyonce's acting repertoire, but her performance here, it was kind of dull for me. I don't think having her cast as Nala really added much to the role.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having Beyonce in that role added some more to the bottom line and to the top line. But I had the same experience with her. I didn't enjoy her until they started their duet. And I was like, okay, well, that's what she's here for. She's got a beautiful singing voice, and she can project because she has the pipes.
Yeah.
But I had only seen her in, I think it was it Austin Powers 2 or something? 3?
Right. Yeah, it might be 3.
And I was like, okay, she's there. I don't think she's got acting chops. I think she's just a wonderful singer. That being said, as soon as Donald Glover got on the screen and he started talking, I was like, wow. Like, instantly, I felt like there was charisma on the screen, and he totally brought the role to life. And I actually really enjoyed his performance quite a bit. Even the subtlety that he has to be a little bit more mature, within whatever it is, 40 minutes, he's got to grow quite a bit. And so, they mic him a little closer and his voice gets a little bit deeper, but not much. He's still kind of the young king by the end. But I thought he did a really good job. So I didn't have anything with him. But I did have a problem with Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
For me, Jeremy Irons was he was just so solid as Scar and so memorable. Like, he was more memorable than James Earl Jones was to me.
Totally. Yeah.
So when I got to Chiwetel, I thought there's nothing really interesting about his performance.
Right.
And I feel like with the lack of the expression that's going on, he's got to make this thing real interesting. Like, either he has to go real sinister, or he needs to do something. And instead, he acted it like he would act it. And I think if he was acting and I could see him, it'd be fine. That, by the way, would be another interesting avant-garde way of doing it. Having people dressed up like, I am Scar, and doing the lions as people. So it's all people, but they've got the most minor amount of costuming on.
Yeah, just hello, my name is.
Not that much, but maybe he's got ears or something, and a scar here, I'm Scar, and he has to act it, and it's like everything that that we're seeing is gone, and we're now left to the character expressions and the character acting.
Okay. How about this? How about this as an idea? You know how they have these deep fakes? you know? Deep fake a human face on the animals.
But they're all like Steve Buscemi and
Oh,
Keanu.
yeah, of course. You know, something horrible.
I think it was a mistake casting Chiwetel in that role, and I've actually liked him quite a bit in his
Oh, yeah, I like him a lot, too.
Yeah, so I just don't think it was great for this. And I like that they went back to James Earl Jones, even though older James Earl Jones, there's always just something missing from his voice to me that was there years ago.
Right. Yeah, he's got that old
yeah.
creaky voice now.
Not quite the same power that you
Right.
got from him early on.
Totally.
But I would like to go back to Jeremy Irons. And I was thinking, well, why didn't they just go back? He was so awesome in this. And I thought, oh, I guess that's not the PC thing to do in this case. Because
Well, he is the bad guy, and it would have worked. It's like smoking in movies now, Brian. You want to avoid that rated R and have a cigarette in your movie, it's got to be a bad guy who dies or something horrible happens to him. So,
I'll now move past that point.
well, and I don't know if Jeremy Irons was, if he was interested, to be honest.
I think if you look at the... Oh, I don't know. I mean, they have John Oliver and Seth... What's his
Rogen.
name? Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I think it would have been terrific to see him back. But he had such a prominent role that I'm guessing they wanted to give it to some new blood. And I just don't
Maybe.
think they got the performance. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. So the only other thing I really wanted to say was, as much as I had my misgivings about the movie,
Yeah.
I would love to see like an old animated thing brought to life. And for me, it's like more of a dream. So like there's like, this negativity of a cash grab, but then on the other side, there's like having something of my childhood brought into live action that I've been like waiting for, and it's been teased over and over. And I'm like, is this ever going to happen? And I hear about it in production, and it's pre-production, then it's no production, and then it's whatever, this property is sold to this studio or whatnot. And at some point, when Robotech comes out in live action, I'm there opening day to see it, because it's like, this is something I've always wanted to see a live version of. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome, and I think with Transformers being as successful, let's not talk about the quality of the entertainment, but it is a successful franchise.
Sure.
I don't see why they couldn't do Robotech. I'm just wondering, would it have the same charm as the anime? Like, would they try to, maintain, we'll say, the idiosyncrasies of the anime with, the way characters are always just like, looking at each other longingly and saying each other's names, either like in their inner monologue or out loud, over and over again, as the camera just like keeps getting closer to their faces. Min-May, Rick, Min-May, Rick. I don't.
Lisa?
Exactly. I'm just like, why would you ever go for Min-May over Lisa? What was Lisa's last name? Can't remember.
Oh, Sparrow, was it? Or,
I don't know. I also thought the green-haired chick, the big giant lady who becomes like a tiny human.
Miria.
That's her
Miria
name,
and Max.
Miria? Yeah, Max, of course. Max with the blue hair and the glasses, right?
And Miria, yeah.
Yeah. She's like on the arcade, like, oh, this is how they train.
What a great dude. I got chills as soon as you said in the arcade.
Yeah.
That's how much I want to see this film.
Of course. In any event, yeah, Robotech, the Macross saga.
Oh yeah, I've seen the original.
I'd be down for that.
With the subtitles. It's all good.
Oh, well, I saw it on TV. I mean, that's how old I am, Brian. Like when you could still watch quality entertainment on TV.
That was great. I need to revisit that. See, I'd like to leave this review on a positive note.
Yeah, so I'll I'll ask you. Would you flick this movie, Brian?
Renee, I'm gonna grip this movie.
I'm gonna grip this movie.
I'm gonna grip it.
All right.
Not too hard, but I'm gonna grip it. How about you? You gonna flick it or grip it?
I would lightly flick it. I know we're getting
All
a little too nuanced here with the rating system.
All right, I'm gonna grip it then.
You're gripping
I'll own it
hard.
right now.
Oh,
Just gonna grip it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hold it tightly
there it is.
in my hands.
Yeah, I'll give it a flick, Brian.
All right. It's our second disagreement in a row.
I know. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe and tell your friends. And we will see you in the next episode.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm going to see that later. Yeah.
Yeah.